All right, guys. We just had a walkthrough today, so really, it's kind of these did not participate things. Kind of take with a grain of salt. So John Wolford, David Edwards, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, and Terrell Lewis. So those were the guys that did not participate. No updates on anything as far as some of the plans for what we're going to do for the game. So I can kind of just answer that for you guys now.
Claudia.
Hey, Sean, just talking about the game coming up, obviously on average, the Packers defense gives up over 100 yards of rushing per game. What advantage do you see over their defense?
Many advantages. They played really well as of late. They do a great job. They've got a really physical front. I think they're doing an excellent job really on all three levels. They play hard, mix up some of their personnel groupings. And so you look at the way they played against some really good offenses later on in the year. Chicago was really rolling. They really stopped them in their last game. Tennessee was one of the better offenses in the league, and they did an excellent job really slowing them down at their place in a big Sunday night win. And so it's going to be a great challenge for us. They're the number one seed and won 13 games for a reason, and I think that's a reflection of a great team.
Jordan.
Hey, Sean, just to clarify, you don't have an update for us on quarterback?
That's exactly right.
Okay, thank you. And then with Aaron Donald, is that a situation where you guys want to get him as much rest as possible this week? And then, you're still optimistic that he'll be able to go on Saturday?
Yeah, he's feeling really good. We're just going to really rest him the whole week and be as smart as possible. I mean, he was just in there getting a workout in the weight room, and he looked like he's feeling pretty good to me. So unless something unforeseen happens, Jordan, the Terminator will be ready.
Okay, and then are you guys going to look into any sort of protective structure for him to play in? And what's the sort of process of getting adjusted to that and getting used to the mobility with that?
Yeah, I think that's probably a better question for Reggie and Aaron. I think we'll just take it a day at a time and really just see how he's feeling. But I know he's going to be ready to go. You guys know what an elite competitor he is, how important these games are. For a guy that's accomplished so many individual accolades, he's all about the team and all about accomplishing those team goals and continuing to try to advance against a great opponent and what we know is going to be a very, very difficult challenge.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Lindsay.
Sean, on a call earlier today with Matt LaFleur, he was kind of joking a little bit that you and him used to battle and really challenge each other, especially in those offensive meetings. And I'm just wondering what your recollection of those meetings were.
Yeah, I mean, the best part of it, I would say this. I mean, Matt's one of my closest friends in life. And I think, us getting a chance to work here together my first year where, really I think sometimes you end up being hard or, having that comfort level with one another with the people that you're closest with. And so I think as we were both getting comfortable in the roles and trying to do a great job as we got here, I always appreciated his ability to say, I don't care what you are. He always has the right approach as far as being honest. It wasn't one of those tell you what you want to hear. He told me what I needed to hear. And it was good, even though sometimes we wanted to choke each other out. But I love him. I mean, he's like my brother, and so like my big brother. And so, we've been close for a long time. I can remember even just, going back to when we started working in Washington. He and his wife lived right across the street, right when they had their first son, Luke. And, that was before I had met my fiance. And so I'd come third wheel it with them a lot, and they kind of took me under their wing. So they're very close friends of ours. And, hey, this is about the Rams versus the Packers, but it's a blessing to be able to, be in these positions.
And just one follow-up there. Did you win the battles because you were the head coach, or did he win them because he was like the older brother?
No, I think, what, it was a good balance. I'm not afraid to listen or admit when I'm wrong. So there was definitely some times when, I'd say, I can't promise it won't happen again, but I can always promise to apologize. So it was a good back and forth balance with us.
Thanks.
Gary.
I was joking about it if we really got after it, though. He knows that.
Hey, Sean, we've asked you a lot of questions about, or some questions about what you'd need to see from Jared, have him play, or to make you confident that he was capable of going. But with John and his situation, what are you going to have to see from him give you confidence that he might be the option?
I think the first thing is relying on the doctors, to get their feedback. Is this even a possibility? And then we'll take it from there.
Mm-hmm. At this point, I mean, I know we're still days away, but we are a couple days away from when that happened. Are you optimistic that he would be in that kind of position to be ready to play?
I would say, I'm in a wait and see mindset, from the experts.
Kevin?
I grew up hearing that defense beats offense, good defense beats good offense, pitching beats, hitting, that kind of thing. So when you have the top scoring team and the top, the scoring prevention team going, which one would you rather be? I mean, does that theory still hold true in today's high scoring NFL?
I think it's about who plays the best in that 3.5 hour window. And, it's going to be a 5-star matchup between a great defense, a great offense. But really, it is about our teams. I would say I'll take the defense because that's the team that I'm on. And I feel very confident in the way that they've carried us in a lot of games this year. They were obviously a huge part of how we got it done the other day. I thought Darius Williams' pick 6 was kind of the turning point in the game. But, just the energy, the effort, the execution at which they play with week in and week out has been so, impressive. That consistency that we've seemed like we talk about week in and week out. I think this is the greatest challenge that we've had yet as a defense, and, looking forward to it, and really just stacking blocks one day at a time, getting a good plan together, put these guys in the right spots, and see if we can go, have another great performance, and, against great quarterback, great system, a lot of great players. You look at, they've got a bunch of all pros for a reason, and Matt's done an outstanding job with Nate Hackett of setting it up the right way.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Emmanuel?
Coach, how have you seen Jalen Ramsey develop most over the past year? And how has the Aubrey presence helped with that?
You said Jalen?
Yes.
What was the question about Jalen?
How has he developed from last year, from what you've seen? How has Aubrey Pleasant helped with that?
Yeah, Aubrey's done a great job. Aubrey's got such a good ability to connect with these guys. He's got a great mastery of the technique that's required, specifically from, those guys in the secondary, understanding how to see it through an offensive lens to be able to give you an advantage. I think really just another year of experience. You're more familiar with Jalen. I think you guys have seen the versatility that he possesses, where it's not exclusive to just a great corner that can play star coverage, that has ball skills, can play physical, can do all those things. I mean, he can bump inside, can set edges on your defense, he can blitz. And so I think what Brandon, Aubrey, our defensive staff, and Jonathan Cooley have done such a good job of is really making sure that you say, all right, when you've got an elite talent who also has great football instincts and intelligence, let's make sure that we maximize the ability for him to influence and affect the game, not exclusive to playing star coverage, but in the different ways based on how we feel like we match up. And sometimes that's different within the framework of situations during a game. And so he's just evolved. I think he's really shown why he's the most complete, DB in this league. And, the tape doesn't lie.
Then how is having Matt Gay, how has that helped y'all?
Whew, I tell you what, it's been huge. I mean, he's Mr. Automatic as of late. Been really impressed with just the continuity between he, Johnny, and Jake. I think that's something that you don't take for granted. And he's done a great job. And it looks like we found our guy for a long time to, really for the future.
All right, we'll get a Green Bay in here. We'll start with you, Steve.
Thank you for doing this. I was just wondering, you talked about your relationship with Matt, but I was just wondering, going back to those years in Washington, what did you see in him that made you think he could be the successful head coach he's become? I know yesterday you were very complimentary of him.
Yeah, I think it's just the command, the capacity, for the game, but most importantly, the ability to connect with people. I think he's a great communicator. And one of the things that you can really appreciate about Matt is he's very demanding. He has high standards for the players that he's coaching. He's consistent with how he upholds those standards, and he's got those values. And I think, that consistency, kind of like I've talked about our defense, is why Matt's done such a good job. And you guys know too, anybody that knows Matt, he's a great guy. And so kind of checks all the boxes. I think what he also did was I thought he hired a great staff around him, and then they've got great players. And, that's really the winning edge. And I think that's why you've seen him win 13 games in the regular season each of the last couple years. win the North and, go to a conference championship last year, be the 1 seed and automatic bid to the divisional divisional round this year. So nothing but good stuff about Matt and not surprised in the least bit.
Jason?
Hey, Sean, thanks for letting us crash your party here. I asked Matt this morning, he went up against Kyle last year and it did not go very well that first game. And he kind of admitted that maybe he thought about it too much going against another one of his brothers. It's old hat for you to go against Kyle now, but is there something to going against, one of your close friends that first time and how you handle it or how you try to treat it like a regular game, but maybe you can't? What was your experience like?
Yeah, I think you try to, I don't think you want to be naive to the fact that they know a couple things that you want to make sure that you're aware of. But I also think you got to be careful of not overthinking it. It's about your team versus the opposing team. There's an involvement and an adaptation, in this league over the course of time. I think you've seen that from really, the amount of close friends that you have. I think it's a cool reflection of, guys doing well. And then you're seeing, other close friends of yours and you kind of know how they think, but you don't know when they're going to activate certain plays. And I think it can be a little bit, blown out of proportion, but you don't want to be blind to the fact that they do know a couple of just foundational things that, you don't want to ignore. But I think it's about, the Rams versus the Packers this week. And, you see a lot of things that you're familiar with, but you don't know when they're going to activate them. And that's where you have to do a great job in playing in all three phases.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tom?
Yeah, Sean, someone who knows you and Matt said that I should ask you about the 4th preseason game in 2017 when you let Matt call plays.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And he said he would have loved to have heard what was going on the headset in that game. Did that test your friendship a little bit?
No, you know what? Matt used to call all the preseason games, and the fourth one, that was our first year. So he called that game. He had a couple good calls, and then we like to go back and forth at one another. So he was the first one to give me some some tough comments when I'd make a bad call, and so I didn't pull any punches when he did that day. And so I think you got to be able to have some fun with one another, and it was a pretty special night, being there. And it's sad that there won't be the fans that makes that atmosphere and environment so special. I know there'll be a few, but I do remember that. He was probably pretty mad at me. You'd have to ask him about that, see how he felt.
All right, we'll go with the Hall of Famer, Stacey Dales.
Oh, thanks, Artis. Hey, Coach McVay. So I can't imagine there's a more important game. You always want to start fast, but starting fast against Aaron Rodgers, the way they're coming out, they've scored on almost every first drive this season. How critical is that in those conversations? And then, given your offensive prowess, every coach I talk to, time of possession against Rodgers, keep the ball away. Can you explain? We throw that term around quite a bit, but with your offensive prowess, where does that rest in the back of your mind?
Yeah, I think it's really important, Stacey. I mean, first of all, when you look at it, it's amazing as you follow the Packers, just watching how efficient they are really on every drive, but especially the opening drives when they can play with the lead, and then they usually just pile on and puts their defense in favorable situations where they can really tee off and make the opposing offense one-dimensional. But I think really the less impact, that you say, what's the best way to neutralize Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Jones, all these guys that can make a bunch of plays for him, Tanyan, it's while they're on the sideline. And so keeps your defense fresh. I think it is an important element. And, I think you got to do a great job of taking care of the football. You can't give them short fields. So all those things that you just talked about, Stacey, are going to be huge parts of how we go up there and give ourselves the best chance to win against, an excellent football team.
We'll
Thanks,
wrap
Sean.
it up.
You're welcome.
We'll wrap it up with Andrew.
Sean, last week, I'm going to have to assume you're pretty proud of the operational security fact here that no one really knew who was playing quarterback, even up to the point where you guys were splitting reps and warm-ups in Seattle. Can you do that again this week? And I guess, is it important to do that again this week, considering the familiarity? And maybe there's an advantage to possibly playing Wolford, considering Matt, he wasn't here when Matt was here?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think I was proud of that, Andrew. You know, and I think there is an element of it does help, you know, where you've got to kind of prepare for two guys that while it is the same offense, there's some different things that you can activate with each one of those quarterbacks. You know, with the limited inventory of film on John, you know, there's a couple things that, you know, we've been able to do in the two games that certainly haven't seen and we haven't shown. So there's no tendencies, no self-scout. But I was proud of that because when you announce it to the team, you tell them that you want to keep it in-house, and for as many people to know and then for it not to get out, it's a credit to, you know, the caliber of people that we have. And I think they also understood that it was helpful for us to really make them kind of prepare for both guys. And, you know, whether we take a exact same approach this week or not, I think that'll kind of unfold organically.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.